Welcome back to Tran Wins Shadow of War. This is post-commentary. These are segments where I wasn't really... Either I didn't have the opportunity to do an actual live recording, or I was just figuring it was going to be short segments. I had forgotten to collect the artifact from this Ithilden door, so here I am to claim it. This is when I learned that, hey, I don't just make the poem, I actually have to follow some sort of script. I'm assuming this is in one of the books or something, I don't know. This segment here is the first time I didn't get an Ithilden door correct the first time.
When the sun rises, the shadows must retreat, fleeing in fear from the fires of war. The night never knew that its end was fleet, as a bright lord bears beacons of flame. The sun rises, yes, but from the west it shines, marching e'er eastward, e'er eternal, e'er bright.
So during this footage that I'll be showing you, this will be the story of one of my orcs. The legendary Bright Lord's Cloak. Recruit a Beastmaster that is level 40 or higher, gain 0.8 Wrath when killing frozen enemies, and 11 focus recovery per kill. So here's how legendaries work as far as I'm aware. The time of this edit is January 6, 2018. The time of the recording was October 12, 2017. Just 2 days after it was released. The Vengeance set, as well as 2 non-Uruk sets, are static. The first trait and the second trait will always be the same. However, the level that you acquire them will be dependent on your Italian's level at the time. They will all end up the same in the end, should you continue trying to level it. Other legendaries are dependent on what you kill. So for example, killing a legendary tank of a Pharaoh tribe will always get you a certain kind of item. You can find out more about that by looking at the set at the directory of set items in your inventory. Now, during this part, when I was playing the game, I was just starting to learn about classes and tribes and all of this, and that some people with certain titles or suffixes in their names had certain abilities. So, like for example, this dude's name was Black-Heart. He probably had no chance, and I probably would have wanted to keep him in an army, especially since he's a berserker. I mean, I could have tried grabbing him and working that Morgai Flies thing out of him. But yeah, I hadn't really been following like all the trailers and stuff, so I didn't really know anything about the tribes or the classes. All I would see was something like Dark Mystic Berserker. I'm like, wow, that's really complex, and I never really put any thought into it until I started doing lots of fight pits. Now, at the time of this edit, I've put in about 230 hours into the game, and it's been about 3 months after release.
You gave me this scar. Now I'll give you a slow, painful death.
This is Mogda Enraged, one of the first... We have like an episode dedicated to him and his blood brother, essentially. And when anybody breaks out of your control for whatever reason, they're always endowed with the Iron Will ability. It doesn't mean that they acquired Iron Will and then decided to break free of your control. It's just when they betray you, for if you're hitting them, you kill their blood brother, or whatever, they just get Iron Will. They get free Iron Will from it. So since this is only 2 days after the game's released, the skill that I have now as a player is substantially better. I mention that because I can see what things I could do to improve when I'm watching these segments. Now, my main power, my main advantage for defeating the orcs comes from my impressive array of inventory, which I get from all the pit fights I end up doing. And I learned so much about the classes and the tribes and all that by the fight pits. That has taught me a lot about the game. There are some beliefs that I have that I'm not 100% sure are real or not, such as classes like Trickster are weaker than classes like Slayer in terms of damage per hit and allowable health. But I'm not 100% sure of that yet. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to equip some last chance of items and let different orcs hit me, such as a frontline warrior orc, which is an orc with a single club or a sword. So this is Garl the Smuggler. We'll be running into him quite a bit. Alright, so anyway, I plan on allowing frontline warriors. I want to see if the weapon type matters. Like a sword, does it hurt more than a club? I'm assuming it doesn't, but I'm gonna actually collect data on that to make sure. I'm gonna try this in multiple different regions to see if a region's orcs may be tougher than another region orcs. Like for example, Minas Morgul. If those orcs are stronger than Nurnen's orcs, that kind of thing. Again, I don't think that's necessarily the case, but for all I know, it is. Once I've done that, I'm going to lower a Berserker down to level 1. I'm going to lower a Tracker down to level 1. I'm going to see if they do the same damage.
You took everything away from me, except my hate.
So if I remember correctly, Mog came up to me while I was fighting his blood brother, and he was there to protect his blood brother. The thing is, I was going to recruit his blood brother until Mog showed up, and I hadn't really had a lot of practice fighting more than one captain at a time. I'm a very cautious player, so I ended up killing the captain that was already softened up from the battle, and then captured Mog. Mog then betrayed me to avenge his blood brother. Now he's the enemy that he is today. So some other things that I've learned. I still haven't quite figured out how the game decides who it's going to drain or dominate. For example, there was one battle where I had an enemy captain right in front of Talion, and in the center of the screen, as I was walking to him. And then when I press E, Talion starts trying to drain one of my own common orcs, just like a little bit further behind to the left of my target. There was another time where I was centered in on a captain on my screen, but he wasn't the closest target, and Talion just like he turns, we'll say about 120 degrees to the left, and starts draining that guy. Just another regular common orc. I'm like, what the heck? I still have not figured out any pattern to this, to how it determines who he drains. Now, whenever you see the screen fade out like this is me either going AFK or switching equipment. I try to keep it fairly smooth so it doesn't end up, so you're not following me in a menu for about 5 minutes right in the middle of battle. So I take all of that out so you can enjoy the action rather than watch me rummage through my inventory. But I will say my inventory is really impressive. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem like the level of your fight pit matters much. So take, for example, if you're a level 60, you can send your level 60 orc to go murder some level 15 orcs, and you'll still get level 60 gear out of this. Alright, so we're gonna head back to Garl the Smuggler. And turns out, he's heading into us instead.
Nobody hunts me down. Nobody. So you. It's all right. Won't work.
Whenever you shame an opponent, here's what I believe happens. They go down levels and receive a weakness of some sort, or lose an immunity. Now, I say this because I believe these are two separate instances or issues. What I mean is, they didn't get a vulnerability because they leveled down, they just received a vulnerability. So take for example, if you find a mighty warrior level 60 with Iron Will, and you level him down to 1, and let's say he had no weaknesses to begin with. You level him down to 1, and now he has like every weakness under the sun. Then you level him back up to 60, but he still has all those weaknesses.
Enough of your tricks. Enough of this shame. It hurts. It hurts in the head. I'll spit yours open for this. Fear the dog.
By this point in the game, today, if you shame an opponent above level 60, he doesn't get additional weaknesses. Like, that's the effect of the patch. Because pretty much every opponent I'm fighting now is above Talion's level. They're above 60, and 60 is the max for Talion. So you have to end up shaming all these other orcs, and they all get weaknesses. So thankfully, though, I was pretty much getting all my orcs from the fight pit. What I would do is I would create a really weak orc, like Garl, and then I'd send him into the fight pit when I found someone I wanted. And let's just say Garl is here to help me find another orc. Oh, he is a blood brother, Lorm Black-Heart.
I just hear some. Why do you have to go and ruin my blood brother? He's a shadow of his former self, and now I'm honor bound to avenge him.
And there he is. Now, so certain titles have certain abilities, such as Black-Heart has no chance. Throughout the fight pits, I learned certain things such as assassins. All assassins have no chance. Now, Lorm Black-Heart, I don't realize he's anything special, so let's just shame him and get him out of the way. If I had noticed he had no chance, I might have thought about keeping him, but he also had some really big weaknesses. Now, I'm not shooting him in the head because I don't want to kill him outright. I spent all this time making him fragile so I can feed him to the fight pits. One more shame should do it. I mean, I've already pissed off his blood brother. Another thing that I think, but I can't say for sure, is if you do your followers' missions until they stop asking you for missions, they're less likely to betray you. The rebellion mechanic, which has been introduced by this point in the game, though, which did not exist during the recording, the rebellion mechanic is either extra betrayals or just the old betrayals relabeled. So I would hold entire regions with like all but one orc captain. And that's the way I liked it. I liked controlling the region. I mean, you don't play a game just to control half an area, do you? No, you control it to win it.
Come on, show me what you can do. I'm sure it'll be unimpressive. You think you're so original, but you're not. You're just like all the others, and you'll die like all the others. Clear away from that! Lorm.
Some people might say, like, that's the way you play the game. You want captains, why would you remove the funnest part of the game? Oh, yes, you may like the captains, but for me, from my victory condition, how I think I'm supposed to win this is conquer the world. That's how I'm approaching this. I'm not looking like to play with the orcs. I see the orcs as a means to an end, which is to conquer the world.
Being shamed. The other Uruks won't stop making fun of me. Why didn't you just kill me instead? Oh, I hate you. For your funeral.
Now remember, this dude has no chance, and that's all he had to do to knock me down to almost no life. Also, during this point of the recording, I did not realize those bullseyes in the bottom left, those are the number of last chances you have. I don't learn this until much later. Oh, there goes Lorm Black-Heart. Goodbye, Lorm. Well, now that his big brother's dealt with, let's go pick up Garl and put him in our group. Also, at the time of this recording, Nemesis was the hardest difficulty. I think they've since released Gravewalker mode, which is harder difficulty. However, I've pretty much beaten the game by this point, and I only log back in to do the community challenges and online conquests, which are automatically defaulted to normal mode, whatever difficulty level you're going in. While there is replayability value in this game, I don't really want to start a new game because you get one save, I'm going to lose all my orcs and all my items. I mean, yes, I can perhaps take or buy enough chests to put my favorite orcs into the garrison, which is basically your backpack for orcs. Sure, I can do that. I'll still lose my items. And I don't really feel like extending the lifespan of the orcs, so I just basically chew through them. So, for example, if you see my recordings that I made in January, the orcs often don't get a chance to even break my combos. Unless there's a giant desire for me to retread old ground, I probably won't restart the game to do Gravewalker difficulty. I really don't like the idea of losing all my hard-won gear. And I think they did that on purpose so that you would have to, to try to keep the game balance. But to me, that makes the idea of starting the game over not fun. So you might ask, what do you keep if you start the game over? Well, let me think here. You keep everything that's in your market. So if I bought with my Mirian right now, all the stuff I could afford, then I can keep all those chests, but I don't get to keep the Mirian, so you might as well. You might as well spend all your money on chests if you want to start a new game. You don't keep items. You don't keep anything in your fortresses. I feel like that's it. I feel like all you get to keep is stuff that's in your marketplace. I can't remember. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. You go back to level 1. I mean, there's nothing that really travels with you. Now this was an experiment. Because I don't quite understand what higher quality gear means, considering it doesn't matter if your opponent is level 1 or level 60, you're going to get the same level item. There might be a time where I'm like level 30, I'm fighting a level 65 guy, and I still get a level 30 item. It's kind of ridiculous. I like that. Alright, let's go deal with Garo. Now, I'm showing you that I want to get Flat Grog Catcher, and I look at it and I was like, oh, Epic Grog Call, that seems awesome.
Little more! I was born in the crucible of a fire that you created. But I was born anew as the flame. Not the flame of knowledge, not the flame of truth. Oh no, I am the flame of war! Lorm.
Welcome back, Lorm. He's no longer Lorm Black-Heart, but Lorm Flame of War. So he's still afraid of flies and execution. Doesn't look like anything special has happened, but he has Epic Rage and a gang of savages, so he went from Epic to Legendary. Now that he's legendary, I decide, you know what, I'm gonna take this guy. Because I don't have very many legendaries. Just so you know, legendary or epic doesn't mean that they're necessarily better. It just means that they have additional traits. And of course, don't forget, Lorm Flame of War is still a no-chance orc. Just so you know, I'm not really sure that I realize that Lorm has no chance. I feel like even though I'm playing very defensively, I don't think I noticed that.
Mordor can only contain the flame for so long. Not with that. You are smoke. I am fire. The Bright Lord is your master. I am yours.
Welcome to the team. Now, I did mess with his blood brother, but I don't quite know how this mechanic is working, because he's already attacked me for messing with his blood brother. He's also come back from the dead as a new entity, essentially. He's got a new skin, a new title. I mean, I don't know if he counts as a new character or what. His current blood brother is still, of course, going to be Garo. I get that. But does he have that history, that memory of me messing with Garo? I go and check to make sure that the maggot that I want to get is still there. So let's go back to talk about this. I'm thinking like Epic Ground Call, that's cool. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now that have Beastmasters are not somebody I want them defending my fortresses. I feel like the player's just gonna shout them out everything. You're just giving the player weapons. And the whole point of an online conquest is to defend against players.
Girl is near.
It's been a while, but I'm assuming that the reason I leveled Garo back up is I wanted to experiment to see what a higher level gear might have been. Like, because that's what happens when you death threat someone. It says higher quality gear, but as far as I know, it doesn't matter what level your opponent is. You get an item around Talion's level. And just so you know, these orcs, they generally participate in the fight, so I'm just mowing them down relentlessly. There's a survivor somewhere in that direction, I can tell because of the mini-map. There he is. And I'm not a fan of these little dialogues. I'm less of a fan of these ones with no actual words. I don't want to kill him, so I probably was going to do that. I probably was going to try to kill him, but now that I own his blood brother, I don't wish to do that. I go to my inventory to start to grab my level up equipment, but then I realized I wanted to be low level and get the ground catcher. I typically assign them as a bodyguard as fast as possible before they create their own independent mission. At this point, I don't realize that online conquest, you only get 2 bodyguards. I don't believe I do online conquest until I finish the story.
Now let's see if you can get past me.
Also, most of the orcs that you'll know of will probably be dead. I'm just telling you that right now. I treat them as tools, mostly because the game is always trying to betray you or screw you over, and it makes your orcs just randomly disappear. I guarantee you, I promise you, that they did not die at any point. They just vaporized off of my playing board. This is probably the one and only time I've ever seen a Caragor eat a dude's head like that in the fight pits.
Flock.
I can't move.
So unfortunately, Italian's auto-targeting system was blocked a lot by that wooden dummy.
You maggot! I will butcher you where you stand. You're nothing to me.
Today, I've been trying to kill orcs before they get to talk to me. I could really do without their introductions. Let's say you do an online conquest. There's going to be 6 war chiefs, and every war chief's probably going to have 2 bodyguards. I mean, so you're going to be running into 18 orcs that, whether they kill you, or you kill them, or you dominate them, you're never going to meet them again. I think you should be able to put in like someone's ID and then just immediately attack them. So like if I tell you, hey, here's my Hydra ID. I don't know what Hydra ID is. It's some label in your settings. I'm assuming that's like my user ID for the game or something. But you should be able to just like put that in and battle my fortress just to see what it's like. But yeah, and let's say you randomly found a fortress you really like. Or it's unlikely you'll randomly find that fortress again. There will be regular orcs that you get that will be better than rare orcs or even some legendary orcs. Remember, that epic or legendary status, all that means is that they have one epic trait, or if they're legendary, 2 epic traits. However, I will be testing that at a later time to see if maybe they have additional health and additional damage.
This cursed weapon better be enough to put you down. I went to a lot of bother to get my hands on it. What are you waiting for?
And about legendaries from earlier, I was talking about legendary equipment that you get from orcs throughout the game can be leveled up by dealing with more of that kind of orc. However, the set that you get from completing the story, the Bright Lord set, or the Vengeance set will be completed by doing certain things, such as killing an online vendetta target with a bow, or using the power of the ring on the Beastmaster above level 40, that kind of stuff. Now, other classes can use the crossbow, but there's really only 2 classes you should permit to stay in your army with a crossbow. Assuming you don't care about the personality, looks, or anything of that orc, there's only 2 classes you could let use the crossbow. Berserkers and Marksmen. Trackers and other classes that use the crossbow may not have abilities specific to the crossbow, such as power shot or quick shot. They could, they might, but you know, a marksman is pretty much going to have those. It's kind of like no chance for assassins. They'll always have it, and other classes can walk in with it too. Now, at this time of the recording, I still have 35 skill points to spend. I haven't really bought a lot of skills.
No! Bet you thought I died. Bet you didn't shed a tear. But despite my best judgment, I'm still loyal to you.
Ook-book.
I'm gonna tell you right now, and I think this may come up in the commentary in the next episode. But I'm gonna tell you right now that every time one of my orcs cheat death, another one of my current orcs disappears. And the orc that cheated death is nowhere to be found. Like literally, this dude that just cheated death, Ook-book the Dismembered, he's not on the playing board. And in a little while, one of my orcs is going to disappear. He didn't die. I think Ook-book just ate him. It's like the game tried to replace one of my existing orcs with Ook-book and didn't know how to actually do it. So it's kind of frustrating. So here I am looking like, where's Ook-book? Where is he? I don't see him. Like, I don't see a dude with a claw for a hand. Like, do you see him? Can you spot the Ook-book? I can't. So I'm like, okay, well, okay, I'll grab him. Maybe. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I have to give him an order. Sure, let's do that. But when I give him the order to be a bodyguard, well, Talion just throws him away and he despawns. So now I can't give him another order. And no, he did not take that last spot. Knowing what I know now, I would have tried to command him to move into that empty spot and see what happens. That probably won't happen for you today. Like, they've been patching the game pretty regularly. So I would love to see that they improve the marketplace. Consideration for the marketplace aside, I would say that the marketplace as it is right now is really, really clumsy. Here's what happens. I believe I read somewhere that you can have a maximum of 300 orcs in the garrison. You're like, oh wow, that's a lot of orcs. But every chest you buy with Miriam, the in-game money that you don't have to do anything special and you just get tons of it, okay? You get 2 orcs with it. So you can open 150 chests. You're like, that's still a lot of chests. Sure. Okay. But then you have to go through that list of 300 orcs and delete the ones, every single one, individually, that you don't want. And worst of all, it just keeps randomizing the order every time you go to an orc. So let's say there's orc number 1, and he passes inspection. And then you go to orc number 2. He's not so good, but you say, okay, well, I'll look at him later. Maybe someone better will come along. But maybe I really want a bow user, so I'm going to leave him alone for now. So you go to orc 3. He's like, oh man, orc 3, let me delete him. So you delete orc 3. He drops you a common bow that you then have to later delete as well. Okay? But for now, you delete orc 3. And then it moves orc 1 and orc 2 somewhere. And so then you find orc 2 later, it's like, this dude looks familiar. I'm gonna delete him because I already have a guy just like that. And nope, you just deleted the orc that you were saving. Now that actually hasn't happened to me, okay. But I can see that happening because it just keeps shuffling those orcs every time you're going through it. It does not organize them. There's no filters. And just so you know, I'm not mad. I feel like I'm speaking with energy and enthusiasm every time I edit this. And it just comes out sounding like I'm bitter or something. No, I'm not mad. I'm just like trying to, you could really improve this marketplace, is what I'm trying to say. That's one of my goals, is maybe to get large enough on online videos that I might have an effect on games one day.
You ready for a lesson in warfare?
You don't look like you can defeat a category pop.
So anyways, so it keeps, there's no filtering system, so you can't say like, okay, I want to get rid of every orc with immortal vulnerability. No, you have to go through all 300 orcs. You can't select like, okay, I like this orc, I'm going to save him. Let's put him in a special folder, and I don't want to ever have to deal with looking at this orc or deleting this orc by accident. Let me put these first 50 that I like into a special bin, and I'll deal with the other 250. No, there's none of that. At the time of this recording, I have like 80 orcs, I think, that are all ranged proof. Whether they're good or not can be debated. At least they're range proof, so they have some like common grunts. Rank of out orcs. Alright, that's pretty much the post-production commentary for these 47 minutes. I'll go through, trim out some stuff. It's probably going to be a fairly short episode. What I might do is release it on Wednesday, right after episode 29, and then continue with the next hour, or roughly hour, for Thursday. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do about that. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching Tran Wins Shadow of War. I'll see you next time.